What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA playoffs. Saturday, June 19th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have an NBA showdown between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets. So let's take a look at the point guard position. I like Drew Holiday from the Milwaukee Bucks playing the Brooklyn Nets. Drew Holiday has averaged 36.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He scored 49, 35, and 30 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 42, 33, and 37 minutes. He's projected at 40 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Drew Holiday here versus the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like James Harden from the Brooklyn Nets playing the Milwaukee Bucks. James Harden has averaged 52.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 37 minutes per game with a 29% usage rate. James Harden has scored 41 and 20 fantasy points in the last 2 games, playing 39 and 45 minutes. So the good news here is that he's playing a bunch of minutes. His performance has been a little under par after coming back with that hamstring injury, but I think he's been working himself back into his regular shape here. So he's projected at 48 fantasy points here tonight, and he's priced down still. So I think he makes a pretty good play here tonight. He's got a great matchup. The Milwaukee Bucks have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they give up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. So I like James Harden here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Kevin Durant from the Brooklyn Nets. He's averaged 46.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 31% usage rate. He scored 43, 96, and 52 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 40, 48, and 41 minutes. He's projected at 52.2 fantasy points here tonight. Now, with Kyrie Irving out and James Harden a little hindered or hampered with that injury, his usage rate has shot up. He had a 44% usage rate last game, and I do expect that to continue into tonight. So he makes a great captain. So I like Kevin Durant here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the position optimizer where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new player trends tool where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Another small forward that I like is Chris Middleton from the Milwaukee Bucks. He's averaged 36.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 25% usage rate. He scored 69, 40, and 45 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 42, 45, and 41 minutes. He's projected at 41 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Chris Middleton here versus the Brooklyn Nets. Okay guys, now this next pick is a deep sleeper pick, and he has not worked out once yet. But it could be tonight that he's in the winning lineup because he's super low salary. He's playing a ton of minutes, and he's just waiting to break out here, especially with Kyrie Irving injured. So if you want a deep sleeper pick, you want to make your lineup different, give your chance a shot at that number one prize without sharing the prize pool with 100 other people, take a look at Joe Harris from the Brooklyn Nets. He's averaging 23 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 16% usage rate. Now, he's only scored 14, 10, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games, but he's played 36, 37, and 38 minutes. So he's playing a ton of minutes. He's just underperforming his season average. So I don't know how long that could continue. He's projected at 24.2 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Joe Harris as a high-risk, high-reward tournament play here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. I like Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. He's averaged 53.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 33% usage rate. He scored 52, 59, and 51 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 41, 41, and 38 minutes. He's projected at 58 fantasy points here tonight. So Giannis is another guy that you should look at as a captain. He's a little bit less expensive than Kevin Durant, and he's got similar or more upside here. He's got a fantastic matchup. The Brooklyn Nets give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. So I like Giannis Antetokounmpo here versus the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, another power forward that I like is Blake Griffin from the Brooklyn Nets, averaging 23.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 26 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate. He scored 28, 21, and 22 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 30, 29, and 24 minutes. He's projected at 27 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Blake Griffin here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. And another power forward, I like Jeff Green from the Brooklyn Nets. He averaged 20 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 16% usage rate. He scored 20, 36, and 14 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 35, 34, and 26 minutes. So he's playing a ton of minutes with Kyrie Irving out, and he's projected at 26 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Jeff Green here versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Now I guess if you are looking for another deep sleeper pick, this guy's super low salary. He's playing a ton of minutes. If you want to make your lineup different, take a look at PJ Tucker from the Milwaukee Bucks playing the Brooklyn Nets. PJ Tucker, he's only averaged 12.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 26 minutes per game with a 7% usage rate. And he scored 16, 11, and 26 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 33, and 29 minutes. So he's playing a bunch of minutes, but he's only projected at 17 fantasy points here tonight. Now, if you get one of those 25 plus fantasy point games out of him, he could find his way in the winning lineup. He's super low salary, so I like PJ Tucker as a high risk, high reward tournament play to make your lineup different here versus the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, moving on to the center position. I like Brook Lopez from the Milwaukee Bucks, and Brook Lopez has averaged 24.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He scored 22, 20, and 29 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 29, 36, and 32 minutes. He's projected at 26.6 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Brook Lopez here versus the Brooklyn Nets.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.